name's Tracy Fatels. I'm here today with you to discuss stress management. This is a video I'm working on for my professional practice course in hopes of getting my personal fitness trainer diploma through N.A.I.T. What is stress? Stress is something that's hard to put a label on. No two people will react the same way to any given situation. We automatically evaluate every situation we're faced with. And if we feel our coping skills are not great enough or strong enough to deal with the position we're in, we will label it as stressful. Keep in mind, though, that not all stress is bad. Some amounts of stress can be good. It can motivate you, push you to reach your goals. As an example, take my situation. I was quite worried about doing this project. Last night, I was typing my notes and I realized I've never put this much effort into anything, especially an effort that was going to put me in the uncomfortable position of public speaking. And I thought, if I didn't do well, I'm not sure how I would react to that. But I decided to just go for it. So positive stress, it motivates us, it helps us feel excited. It helps improve performance, and it should honestly be short-term. On the other hand, negative stress can cause anxiety. It can feel unpleasant, and most likely will be long-term, and if not managed, can lead to mental and physical problems. Where does our stress come from? It can come from weather, crowds, traffic. Workplace stress is something that affects many people. If you don't get along with your coworkers or find that you just can't handle the amount of work that's being placed on you, or if you're worried about your job security, that can all be negative effects of stress. Overscheduling, procrastination, lack of assertiveness are all classed as habitual behaviors that can lead to more stress in our lives. Just imagine if you're already straining under your workload and you're not assertive enough to tell your supervisor that no, you can't handle that extra pile of paperwork that she's bringing over to your desk. This, in turn, might cause you to spiral into a negative stress reaction, making it even harder to accomplish the work that you do need to get done. Bankruptcy, that's a scary word. Bills, unexpected costs of life, or the inability to pay for the regular cost of living that we all face every day. Those can be some of the hardest stressors to manage. Money trouble can lead to divorce or loss of our homes, and that can push us into situations where we feel unsafe in our housing and our environment. One way of alleviating some of that stress that's caused by financial problems is to make a plan. Sit down with the people in your home that have to be there to actually plan a budget. It won't work if you do it on your own. And figure out where your money's going and make positive changes to help cope with where it needs to be. Then there's things like a new addition to your family, if you're having a baby or if you're adopting. Those things can cause some very significant stress. It could be good, positive stress, or on the other hand, it could be negative. Many of us tend to react to things like this and wonder if our coping skills will be enough to face the myriad of situations that we're going to see ourselves come into. Our families can be our greatest support system, or in some cases, our greatest stressors. We all have those family members that drive us crazy, that when we spend time around them, we end up more stressed or just aggravated. We need to remember that we can't choose our families, sadly, but we need to take the time and think that maybe if we're feeling overwhelmed already, it's not the greatest time to spend time in that environment, which unfortunately is not always possible. So what you need to do is you need to learn coping skills ahead of time so that if you find yourself in those situations, you'll know how to handle it and you'll be able to live with the hectic people in your life. The signs and symptoms of stress. Many of us don't even realize when we're stressed. We tell ourselves we're just tired, or that really honestly everybody feels this way. Unfortunately, this may not be the case. Do you find yourself eating more or less than you used to? Are you frustrated easily? Are you having trouble concentrating or worrying about the many things that are going on in your life? Are you nauseous or constantly battling headaches and muscle pain? How about your sleeping? Have you started staying up later and later watching infomercials because you just can't turn off? You can't shut down to get any decent sleep. Or maybe you're the opposite. Maybe you walk in the door from work and you fall on the bed or the couch and you dread the sound of the alarm in the morning. Those can be signs of stress. The stress affects us emotionally, mentally, physically, and behaviorally. Maybe you find yourself biting your nails or fidgeting at your desk when you're supposed to be working. Maybe your lack of proper sleep has something to do with bad dreams that you've been having. These are all signs of stress that you may not have thought of, along with a racing mind or an abundance of fears that begin to creep up on us. The loss of libido may also be a side effect of stress, and I'm sure, as you can imagine, this would be one side effect that can have a great deal of added strain in your relationships with your spouse or your partner. So, how do we react to stress? One of the most important steps is to figure out what your stressors are and how you react to them. If you look around you, you'll see people that react to stress in completely different ways than you yourself do. Do you get angry or feel bad how you reacted in anger towards others? Do you feel like your control is slipping through your fingers? Are you overwhelmed? Do the small things in life that never bothered you, like not being able to get into your parking spot or the dishes sitting on the counter instead of in the sink, do they now seem like insurmountable tasks that just drive you endlessly crazy? Are you turning to drugs or alcohol, or even, in some cases, risky sexual behavior to feel better? Do you feel like everything's your fault? When was the last time you actually really smiled? If you see yourself in any of these questions, it might be time to seek help in dealing with your stress. Stress is not something we can live with long term and not have side effects from. Stress is a risk factor for many diseases. Ulcers, bowel disease, heart disease, and some mental illness are common examples. Stress can make it hard to maintain a healthy weight. Honestly, if you're using food as a coping mechanism and you're sitting on the couch in the middle of the night eating chips, it's not going to maintain that healthy diet or weight. Diabetes is another disease that can be affected by stress. If you're trying to maintain normal blood sugar levels, stress could very likely be working against you. Stress can also affect the health of your immune system. It can leave you vulnerable to many, many diseases. Very many people also turn to drugs and alcohol as a coping mechanism, when this is never a good way to deal with your stress. Substance abuse, whether it's legal or not, can cause great damage to our bodies and minds. Substance abuse is another of those things that does not just affect the person who is using. It affects everyone around you. Living with an alcoholic or an addict, whether it's a spouse, a child, a parent, another family member, or a roommate even, will more than likely put a large strain on your stress level, and in some cases can push you over the edge right along with the person that you care for. Little sponges. Our children learn by example. These are my 3 adorable little monsters. Our children can be the light of our lives. They can also be a part of some of our more aggravating stresses. We worry about our kids. Are they going to make friends? Are they going to get good grades? Are they going to make smart choices? Are they going to make their beds or brush their teeth without having to be asked 20 times a day? I would never ever wish for a world without my kids in it, but on occasion, I wonder what it would be like if they didn't learn so easily which buttons to push to make our stress levels and our coping mechanisms completely go out the window. We need to remember, though, that in today's world, stress can affect our children just as much. Kids are having to deal with stress at far younger ages than they ever needed to before. And as we begin to realize that stress is a major factor in our health and well-being, we should also remember that how we learn to manage our stress is more than likely the same way our children will learn to manage theirs. I hope that with some of the techniques that I'll outline, we'll be able to start on the road to healthy stress management and be able to pass along some of these skills to our children. Dealing with disease, cancer or other long-term illnesses. The word cancer alone coming out of the doctor's mouth might be enough to set many people into a stress response that's so negative they might head directly to denial or anger. And until you've been in this situation, you just never know how you will handle it. This picture is of my mom, and she was actually nice enough to join us, even though she knew I was making her a part of my presentation. 5 years ago, she was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. It was quite a surprise. By watching my mom cope with her diagnosis, I learned some very healthy ways to manage stress. I won't go so far as to say she never felt sorry for herself or worried about her outcome might be, but she definitely took a more positive road and spun her situation into one that was much healthier than some people could ever expect. My mom met her disease head on and used some great coping skills. She made a choice right away about her treatment options. And one of the worst things for stress is constantly flip-flopping over the decisions we have to make. It's best to make the choice and live with the consequences of that, whether they be good or bad. My mom surrounded herself with people that she loved. Her positive attitude actually helped many of her close friends and relatives deal with their own stress related to her illness. She managed to cope with the people around her who tried to tell her what she should and shouldn't be doing, and that she should go to bed and get rest because that's what she needed. She never thought she did. And she told people, quite firmly, that nope, I'm going to do this, and that's the way she lived, and thankfully she did. Sometimes telling people how you feel is a great way to relieve stress. You might be surprised at how good you feel after you get things off your chest. Many people are not as lucky as we were when it comes to battles with health issues. Sometimes you might need to talk to a professional and look for a grief counselor. Again, this is another situation where you can talk to your HR department. Many companies can refer you to a counselor that might even be covered by your benefits plan. Where can you get help? There's many places you can go for help, like I mentioned, your HR department. But one of the best places to start is with your family doctor. The signs and symptoms of stress might actually be masking a much more serious medical condition. You have to never ever assume anything about your health. Get a professional opinion. If your doctor tells you that you are indeed suffering the effects of stress, don't despair. There are plenty of options to help you manage your stress. The Government of Canada has a website, and on it you'll find listings with mental health organizations that are available to people in need. Talk to your Human Resources Department. Your benefits package will most likely cover health and wellness care as well. Go online. You'd be amazed at the plethora of relaxation videos, articles, exercise ideas, and online forums that you can use as a discussion place to talk about your feelings and your stress. And talk to your family and friends. The people can't be there for you if they don't know that you're in need. Many people don't notice. They assume that you're fine, and you could be spiraling and need help. Social programs are also a great place to go for help. Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, and also Alcoholics Anonymous has spun off to have programs for children and family members and wives and husbands dealing with alcoholics in their family. These things can be found actually in the back of your phone book in the community section. There is a whole listing, and there's phone numbers for everything, and even sometimes you'll find times of meetings that you can just drop in. So if you're living with someone with addiction, or you see someone with stress, or you yourself are having problems, make sure you ask for help. Find a hobby. Did you used to love soccer or skating as a child? What's stopping you from taking it up again? Maybe a little bit more bruises. But really, honestly, the exercise will do wonders for your stress levels. A hobby can transport us to a place where we're happy and relaxed, whether it's scrapbooking, knitting scarves for your family, which my mom used. We now have an amazing amount of beautiful scarves that will never go with a bare neck in the winter again. Or maybe like me, you'll find it relaxing to draw portraits or pictures of places or people that you love. I actually found that drawing helps my stress levels immensely. I can pick up a pencil and my pad of paper and not realize that 2 to 3 hours have gone by. And I feel just great. And if you can find yourself a hobby or an activity that will get you that feeling if you have had stress in your life, that's a wonderful thing to have. A stress journal. This is a place where you can put your thoughts to paper. keep track of how you're feeling each day. And it's honestly not just about the good days or the bad days, it's about both. Watch for the days that you're feeling great. Write it down. Look at what you did differently. Did you go to sleep earlier that night? Did you eat a healthier diet? Did you exercise or spend time with your friends? When the days are not so great, try to figure out what brought about the feelings of stress. How did you react to that stress? And did you feel like you were able to cope that day? After a while, your stress journal may hold the key to finding out what your stressors are and how you can avoid or manage them. This was actually a project that we did for this course, and I learned quite a bit about my stress levels and what triggered them. And it might actually be a good coping mechanism for you guys as well. Another great stress reliever are animals. Pets can be wonderful companions. They're great at taking our focus away from our stress. They love us unconditionally. They don't care if we smell bad, sometimes they prefer it. All they want is your time. My dog and I spent countless hours walking. And sometimes I thought to myself, okay, I've got a lot to get done, I'm just gonna take her for a quick walk down to the end of the road and back. Well, as my mom can attest to, I would be gone, probably for a good hour, hour and a half. I actually got to the point where I was walking about 6 kilometers a day. And I don't know if it was her enthusiasm that kept me going, or the fact that after those first few steps, I started to feel my stress melt away. Either way, it was a great experience, and physical activity, walking, is great. It helps you cope. Spending time if you have a cat, if you're not a dog person. Cats are a little more sensitive. They can be a little touchy, but if you curl up on the couch, chances are you're going to find them at your feet, purring contentedly while you sit and read a book or look out the window and just reflect on how your day's gone. We can use 4-legged companions occasionally to help take a step back from our stress. If you don't have any at home, you can always volunteer at a local shelter or look for that neighbor who is unable to walk their dog. Maybe you could help them out and relieve some of their stress and your own at the same time. Some of the key points to remember are that stress affects everyone. It's not good and it's not bad, it can be both. Stress is all around us, in our environment, our work, our health, our relationships. You can look to your community programs and Human Resources Department for help. There's so many ways to manage your stress and to find situations that can put you in a better ability to cope with your stress. And talk to your doctor. Be sure that you're suffering from stress and not something with similar signs and symptoms. You can try deep breathing, physical activity, or meditation techniques. Try to put your thoughts on paper. And avoid risky behaviors. Don't turn to alcohol or drugs to cope. Eventually, it will get the better of you. Find a support system. And if you don't have a family or friend that you can talk to, I'm sure that you could find a support group that will fit in your needs. And just always remember, you're not alone. There are some activities that may actually help. Go for that walk, or have a hot bath, read a book. Personally, I like to combine those last two. You can sit and read an entire romance novel, just keep the hot water running, and the stress is gone. The kitchen's still messy? That's okay. You don't feel as stressed after, it won't bother you nearly as much. Anything that you can do to take your mind off your stress will help. If you're looking for something a little more zen-like, maybe try out the meditation. Or practice deep breathing, something that we all know how to do. It's commonplace. Yoga, or some relaxation exercises that can be done while seated at your desk at work. If you're more of a kick-out-your-stress type person, there's always kickboxing classes. I myself am not coordinated enough, but maybe you are. Most of us have got some experience with yoga, and we all get the basic idea of meditation. It's just a relaxed state, just finding a happy place. So I'm going to skip over and go to some activities that we can do together. I've chosen one for today that I hope might be helpful for all of us at work or at home. And I was actually surprised by the simplicity of some of the exercises when I read this outline. I actually found it in the Stress and Stress Management Guide produced by the Clinic Community Health Center. So let's try this one together. Okay, our first exercise, we're going to start with our toes. You're going to just curl your toes in while you breathe in. As you let that breath go and relax, just feel your toes stretch out again. Again, deep breath in, toes curling, and relax. And the third time, one nice big breath. Hold for a second and then let it all out. Okay, for this one, we're going to work on coordinating our breathing to our movements again. We're going to work on our shoulders. A lot of people hold their stress and tension in their shoulders. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit up nice and straight. And first, what we're going to work on is our right shoulder. You're going to bring your right shoulder up towards your ear. At the same time, take a deep breath in. Hold for a moment. And then as you exhale, lower your shoulder down. Up again. We follow suit with the 3 times each time. Deep breath out. And go as low as you can. Just let it relax. Deep breath in. Lower it down. Now we're going to follow and do the same thing with your left shoulder. You got to keep yourselves even, right? So left shoulder up to your left ear. Deep breath in. Make sure you're sitting up straight, not slouching, as you lower your shoulder down with your exhale. And you lift. Exhale. One last time, lift up with your shoulder, as close to your ear as you can get it there. Hold, and then exhale and lower down. And it really does help if you sit up straight, because if you're slouching, you're not going to feel the same relaxation with that one. So again, thank you very much for taking the time. I know you guys could be at home sitting eating dinner right now, or hopefully not continuing to work. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I know I definitely enjoyed myself. It's a nice thing to actually take a step out of your comfort zone every once in a while. I'd also really like to say thank you to Camex for allowing me to use the boardroom and the facility after hours. That was absolutely wonderful.
It doesn't stress me, because
really,
I didn't think so, because I never put demands on whenever you have time.
I know, and I really honestly,
She said she.
You looked
I thought, oh, I wonder if she's talking about Lori.
I've never had a man for
Maybe
a boss,
it's
really,
me.
so.
No,
Actually,
I'm
yes,
just joking.
I have to say, Donna, you stress me.
I'm sorry.
How we're going to try
Stress
to be
rolls
better now.
downhill, though,
It
right?
Yes, it does. Much like
Like
something
many
else,
other
but
things.
you know what? I've come to, everything in life that's wrong is my fault. I've just learned to live with
Actually, if you listen, that will come
I've
up
just
later.
learned to live with
Which
it.
brings us around to family. Have you met my son?
No.
Everything's my fault.
Yes, yeah, no, it's all everyone's fault, except mine.
And stress and family members. As long as I want to death, but boy.
Yes, you can only spend a certain amount of time with those people before it's done.